Go ahead. What's up?
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your host with the most dope, your man, MDB. I got my brother with me as always, Frog Dog 506, aka Froggy.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. How was your week, brother?
Crazy.
Yeah?
Moving. That's why I wasn't here last week.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So you got all moved in today?
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Well, I was moved in yesterday, actually, but I don't know. I don't want to move ever again. But I'll probably end up moving again soon.
So it was frustrating, the moving.
Yeah. Too much money spent, man. We could have been spending on other things.
Yeah, man. I know everyone can relate to that, man. The expense of moving. Sometimes you gotta get a fucking U-Haul. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta pay someone to bring your shit in a truck or whatever it is, man. And then you gotta get a bunch of people to help you move. And, you know, it's customary to buy beer for that fucking, occasion when you're getting a bunch of people to help you move. You get them all drunk and shit.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man. Fucking, I've just been chilling out, playing Red Dead Redemption super hard. Finally beat the fucking game. I'm stoked.
Yeah, I'm at the part where he gets kidnapped and shit. Well, he just escaped from
Yeah.
capture and shit.
Right.
From some dudes. That's where I'm at in it.
Okay, man. That's a dope ass fucking part. That game is so realistic. Me and Trip were just spending the whole day like hunting and fishing in that game. Shout out to Trip, man. So we got some exciting shit for y'all today. Hoping to speak to a good homie of mine here soon when he jumps on the live.
Fortunato.
Big Fortunato, out of Toronto, Ontario. He's got a storied history. He's rapped with many legends in the game, and toured with those same legends.
Yeah, I know Onyx for one.
Yeah, man. I want to get into some Onyx shit today, man.
Back the fuck up.
Did you hear the Kodak Black diss song?
No, to who?
Okay, so Sticky Fingers from Onyx made a Kodak Black diss song.
What?
And this all stems from an incident that I'm told was that happened on Kodak Black's tour bus. Now, I'm not sure what Sticky Fingers was doing on Kodak's tour bus.
Yeah, really though.
But rumor has it that they got into a tussle, a little bit of a scuffle, and Sticky Fingers is on a movie set out there in Florida.
Yeah.
So he had a bunch of props in his bag, including a prop gun, apparently. Yeah. And Kodak pulled the prop gun, apparently.
Yeah.
From what I hear, on Sticky Fingers. And altercation ensued because of that. So Sticky Fingers wrote a diss song to Kodak Black.
Yeah. Big shout out to Bowen.
Yeah.
Congrats on your big payout, brother.
Big shout out.
I'm having a great day as well. What's up, Chad? I think he's talking to Fortunato right now.
Yes, I am.
Ghost.
What's up, brother? Yo. So yeah, man. It's been a chill week. He's been moving. I've been gaming out of control. Been writing some music. Been working with a few different producers lately. Shout out to my bro Cryptic.
Shout out tired today.
Yeah. Shout out to Rob Banks as well for
Narcotics.
Narcotics.
Yeah.
Shout out to my bro Narcotics as well.
He's gonna come today too.
Yeah, that's true, man.
A big thing worked out, man.
Yeah,
But
no, it didn't work out, but we're gonna get it cracking one of these days, man. I want to have a big studio session. I remember back in the day, when I first got here in Moncton Hip Hop and I started meeting a bunch of people. We were such a tight knit community back then. Everyone used to come to my house and record music and stuff, and like I kind of want to just rekindle that spirit because like songs just flew out of my house, left, right, and center. You know,
yeah.
there was just so many people here recording all the time. And actually, it got a little annoying at times because I would be trying to like eat or like do something else, and someone would be in the booth trying to lay out a 16. And I'm like, yo, like, this is my house. Like, I know it's a studio, but anyways, I kind of want to get that spirit back because we had a nice little fucking writer's circle in here at one point with a lot of people. Shout out to Boswell. Shout out to Echo. Shout out to Parker. Shout out to Young Jay, man. Shout
Fortunato is watching. I can't send him the link.
What?
I can't send him the link to join. Yeah.
Why not?
It doesn't say that he's up there with them, right? Oh, here we go.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
And then so we about to get into a really dope interview with my homeboy Fortunato. He's a fucking veteran and a legend in the game. He's he's done rap songs with hip hop royalty. So we're about to get some real knowledge from Fortunato. And don't forget to check out Fortunato coming to the East Coast real soon.
You should get a thing saying that we invited you.
I'm joined.
There you go.
Yes.
There we go, brother. What's up?
Not too much, guys. How's it going?
Man, just living the dream, bro. I know you just were on a vacation. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. I went down to Montego Bay, Jamaica, and took wifey with me, and we're just staying down like close to the airport and stuff. We're just swimming and drinking and going out to eat and shit like that, you know.
There you go.
How's the jerk chicken?
Jerk chicken's good, but I eat a lot of that in Toronto too. So I had it there. It was like killer spicy. Like it was, even by my standards, it was really spicy. So I was just like, I had it once, and then I was just like, I'm good for jerk chicken. But I had a lot of Indian food down there. I had like what was this lobster dish? This lobster makhni. And I went to a Thai place down there and had some like shrimp shumai and stuff. So like, yeah, you know me, I'm always on my culinary. You know, I had some curry goat down there. It was really good. And
yeah,
yeah,
you know it. I appreciate
some,
you for your food knowledge and how you get down culinarily. So I always got to talk to you about food a little bit. Yo, but let's start from the beginning with you, bro. Where did the name Fortunato come from?
Well, it came from a book that I read. It was like a kind of science fiction book. It had like all these kind of superhero type guys, and that's just where I came across the name. But really, what it means is the fortunate one in Italian, because my dad's Italian. So I find like I've been really fortunate in my life. So I just I've been trying my best to like you know, embrace that and hope that it stays that way. So I'm just trying to figure out where I should be looking right now. I haven't done this before. I feel like I'm always looking to the side because this is where my camera is. Oh, this is where my camera is. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, it's awkward. Like I'm just looking off into space through the whole podcast. We don't want that.
No, join the club. I never know where to look. All right, so you're in good company with me. Okay, so what was it like before the rap with you?
Well, you know what? Like I had a pretty rough like upbringing, you know, like broken home and all of that. Folks got divorced. ended up, kind of get kicked out of my house when I was 16. So I was homeless for a bit, and then, ended up getting caught up with the wrong crowd, street gangs and that kind of stuff. And then it was like, I ended up meeting my girl pretty early in life, and we kind of went through it together. But after that, we ended up having kids, and I became more of a family man, and really grounded me. And after the first bit, I was just kind of like working, taking care of kids, and I started to get into the hip hop music, but I really couldn't take it seriously because it was just like something I did on the weekends, and like that's how it all started off. But then I just kept going to more shows and listening to more music, and hanging out with dudes who were rapping, and just slowly getting better at it, and eventually it just kind of blossomed, into what it is now, which is me as a solo artist. But I mean, we started off as a group of artists, and one of the guys we rapped with, he got murdered, and we were all kind of like really upset by that. And some of the artists in our group, they decided that they didn't want to rap anymore because it was dangerous, to be a rapper in Toronto at that time. And so they said, you know what, I'm going to go become a chef, or I'm going to go do something else. But then me and one of the other members, we decided to start Angerville. And the reason why we called it Angerville was because we were really pissed off about what happened to our boy, because we felt like he had rest in peace, Ilda Shiesty. We felt he had the best chance to make it as an MC professionally. He had the skill set. He was young. He was the youngest guy in our crew, and somebody snuffed him out. So we kind of made Angerville as a way to continue, his legacy. We always said he was the third member of Angerville, posthumously. We would do shout him out on every mixtape and all that. So that was like the first chapter. But that's when we really started to take it seriously. Got ourselves a logo. Did the thing with the hand tattoos and stuff. Like, we're just like, let's really make it real, like, so that we're not going to just give up on it, or just like a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, I'm a rapper, blah blah blah. Sorry for the shakiness of my thing. I feel like I should mount it or something, but yeah.
No, it's doing good, bro. You're doing great. What made you first fall in love with hip hop, though?
Well, you know what? It's my first CD that I purchased was Ice Cube's "Kill It Will," and Ice Cube's not even my favorite artist, but I went to this place where I'd always buy CDs, and I was just into music in general. I was like, I'd order from Columbia House, you get the 1 cent freaking CDs and stuff, and I'd like, this is way back in the day. So I'd be like, wow, for 1 penny for a CD, and I'm like, I'm never gonna pay them anyways. Like, I was 12 years old, and like, you know what, send me the CDs. And then my dad would be like, where's all these CDs coming from? Like, but I love music, and I always wanted to listen to whatever, all kinds of stuff. But I bought that Ice Cube's CD, and then I bought a Digital Underground CD. And so I was just kind of like testing the waters, and then I was like, okay, started checking out more albums and stuff. I had like Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth, and or before that, I had Diggable Planets and Boogie Monsters, and like all just a whole mix of CDs that I was collecting. But I never saw myself as a rapper or someone that could like be on that level, So I was just dabbling with it. But to say, was there a moment definitively that where I fell in love with like hip hop? I don't know if there was like one moment that did it, because I get asked that question a lot, and I'm just like, you know what? Even to this day, I listen to a pretty broad spectrum of music, like not just hip hop. So like I love all kinds of music, but I love to make hip hop. But I created a pretty massive collection of CDs when I was when I was really trying to start rapping, because I would go to the Tower Records website, and I'd be looking for CD singles, because I didn't know anyone who made beats or anything. So I'd just be looking for CD singles. They'd be like $7 each. And every week I'd grab a few more. So I had this collection of like almost 2,000 CDs. Like all my walls were covered. And then the Hard Knock Life tour came to Toronto, the Air Canada Center. It was DMX, and Jay-Z, and I forget everybody else who was on it, but those were the two main guys that I went to go see. And so I went to this used CD place called CD Universe, and I sold my entire collection. I got like about $700 for it, and I was like, I went to a scalper and I bought 2 front row tickets for me and my girl, and I watched DMX perform, and the blood red letters came down with the DMX logo came down, and I was like, and he came out growling on stage, and like people were just losing their mind, like everybody was going crazy, and I was like, yo, this is amazing. So I think that was probably the moment where I decided that I wanted to be the guy with the mic, not just the guy with the CD collection, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. Who was inspiring you locally?
Locally, I'd say like in Toronto, there was a lot of really dope groups like the Grassroots, Solitaire, Marvel. You know, the guys from the Circle. You know, Nish Rocks, Danny O, guys like that. Citizen Kane. Oh man, I actually go to the gym with one of the guys from oh what not Citizen Kane, the other group. His name's
Michael?
Deuce, Concrete Mob. So yeah, I had the gym by my place. I looked over and I see this guy like lifting over there. He's got like the braids and stuff, and I'm like, "Yo, are you from Concrete Mob?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Frig, we just did the Cool G Rap show together, and I still have your vinyl in my closet, like from like I don't even know, sometime in the '90s." And yeah, so it's crazy to see like these rappers are still like holding their own. But yeah, those are just some of the guys that have I wasn't like a big Cardinal fan, although I have a lot of respect for his work. I was more into like the underground cats and what they were doing. So yeah, that was pretty much most of my local influence growing up in Toronto.
That's what's up. So you're doing Angryville, and you're an angry group who's you know fighting and like the memory of your homie and stuff.
Yeah.
So tell me what was that like coming up in the game as a group?
Well, you know what? As a group, it was nice because you had somebody who knew all your raps and they could always back you up if you screwed up. You had like
Yeah.
somebody always was there, and we were really in sync with each other. So like, like we if you knew when somebody was starting to lose breath, or if they were if they were a little tired, you could pick up the slack or whatever. But so when I went from the group to being solo, that was my biggest challenge, was just being alone up there. And for a while I had to use a hype man, and then eventually I had to take the training wheels off and be like, you know what, I don't need a backup track, I don't need a hype man, I just need to practice. And but you can't rush it. Like I always tell people, they want it right away. I'm like, been doing this 10 years, and finally getting to a point where like I look at my raps from 2 years ago and I'm like, that sucks. And I'm like, and I feel like you should always be like, yeah, that stuff sucks. Other people can be like, oh yeah, I love your second album. I still have people who are like, oh, don't drink the Kool-Aid, that's the jam. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the jam, obviously, but I mean, I'm still making more music, and I feel like my best music is always yet to come. And as long as I'm progressing, then I feel like I'm on the right track. But it's definitely, I miss being in a group. I still got Scrimmage who rolls through, shout outs to Scrim. And, I got Terry Do, B-Boy Faith. He's always there.
His shirt.
Oh, he got the Scrimmage shirt. Yes, sir. Shout outs to
Yeah.
my homie.
You know the guys?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So
man.
like, those are my boys still, and like but at the same time, they got their own raps and their own stuff that they want to do. So I would never say like, if I wanted a hype man, it would just be somebody who is like, hey man, let me just, I know all your raps, let me come through and this and that. But for real, like I'm like, everybody deserves their own time to shine, unless you're doing like the full group thing. But groups are difficult too, because like you got to keep everybody happy, and that's not everybody's got different needs, and they're all like, how do you keep, like, if you got a group of 4 people, how do you keep everybody like satisfied and make sure everybody gets money from everything you do? As a solo artist, it's a lot easier, because I'm just like, I just show up, I say like, yo, who's the DJ I know in this city? cool. Can you spin for me? All right, dope. Who wants to jump on the mic? And so like, and with the Maritimes, it's smaller shows and stuff. So that's why with the tour that I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'm just doing it for more just because I want to get out there, connect with my people. I'm bringing my merchandise. I'm bringing copies of my album, and all the profits are going to charity. Froggy can like let the
Yeah.
people know about that. What we're going to be
Yeah.
donating and who it's going to be going to, and that's
Yeah.
about it. Too many people are trying to just you're going to come out there and you're going to have everybody feeling like at the end of the night like they got ripped off. There's going to be people going to be like, oh man, that sucked. You walk away, you're like, I needed that money. I'm not coming to town to take money out of people's pockets. I'm coming to have a good time. People know what I bring to the mic, and that's to me, that's what hip hop's all about. Let's all get together, have a good time, and put on a show, and so everybody leaves with a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure, man, and that's what we've always respected about you. Tell me, what was some of your biggest highlights with Angerville?
Sorry, one more time.
What was some of your biggest highlights with Angerville?
Biggest what with Angerville? Sorry, one more time.
Highlights. What were some of your biggest highlights with Angerville?
Okay, sorry, it's breaking up, man. I can't hear like.
I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know what some of your biggest highlights are with Angerville as a group.
Okay, yeah, all right. Well, as the highlights with Angerville, when we were on Much Music, that's probably as big as it got. Like, like when you get to see yourself on television, which I know now the internet is television basically. I mean, not very many people watch traditional television these days. Unless you're watching Food TV, the Cooking Network, or something like that, or the news or something like that. But even that. But yeah, Much Music used to be the outlet. Like that's where people. We had Rap City, we had we had the Wedge or whatever, for alternative music, and we had all kinds of different programming. And going back like even further than that, Master T, Extendamix and all kinds of cool shows like that. So Much Music was really popping back in the day. And when we got our first video, Dear Dad, on there, and we got heavy rotation, like a lot of established artists were hitting us up, like Classified and Maestro, and they're just like, hey, man, who are you guys? Like, your videos everywhere. And we're like, we don't know. Like, we just put it out there, and it started off as a letter to our fathers, and it became a song, and then it became a video, and next thing you know, it was like on TV. So, and then we did it 3 more times after that. So we had 4 videos on Much Music. That was definitely a highlight. And to see yourself on TV and have people come up to you on the subway and like hail you up and be like, hey man, I saw you on TV, your video's sick, and this and that. And then, we did some pretty high profile shows. We got to perform with AZ and Freeway at the Opera House, and I don't know. There was a couple other ones that we did that were pretty notable, but I think the biggest part of it was just the videos, the videos, and getting them on television, and getting that right. Having people from across Canada watching it over and over and over again, like just they played it, and then eventually, they changed the format and they had Much Vibe, and that was a subscription service, so it was still good, but. They still play us like certain throwback, like special, like throwback episodes. They'll show an old Angerville video for like the statement or whatever, and so it's cool. It's like that was the pinnacle of what we were able to accomplish as a group.
That's dope, man. Much Music was huge for hip hop in Canada. They had a few shows where we would get some play, and that's where I first saw hip hop and Canadian hip hop at that. So you guys are popping in the city. A few people know your name and stuff. You're about to do a tour and to come out to the East Coast for the first time, but then you guys break up. Tell me how that made you feel.
I mean, it was something I dealt with already because. My partner's his heart wasn't in it for a while. He was being like, where's the money? Like, why am I wasting my time? Like, this is bullshit. And I got better things to do. And I was like, we got to be, we've been doing it for a while. We were doing it. I guess we were maybe 4 years we'd been doing it. And for him, that was a long time. But I said, like if we stick with it, like imagine where we'll be like if you're in it for the long run. But he had different plans for his life, and being a rapper, and going from city to city and doing all that, it wasn't really something that he was down for. He wanted to settle down, get a good job, raise kids, have a family, all that, all the things he couldn't do when he was younger because his life was a lot like mine. It's too chaotic to actually do anything like that. So that was the direction he wanted to go in. But I mean, so for a lot of the time that we were doing shows, like in Kingston, I did a show and it said Angerville on the bill, and I showed up and they're like, well, where's the other guy? And I was like, it's just me, man. And they're like, they felt ripped. The promoters felt ripped off. Everybody felt ripped off. And I was like, well, all I can do is bring myself here. And that became my mantra after that, was like, you know what? At least if it's just me, I can, be responsible for myself. So I can't be responsible for other people. I can't force people to do things that they don't want to do. Even if they tell me, yeah, let's do it. And then, the day of, they're like, no, I'm not doing it. No. And I'm just like, bro, we got to do it. They're like, no, I'm not doing it. I was like, okay, well, there's nothing else I can do about that. So I'll show up and try and do it by myself. There was like, we did a show at the Velvet Underground, which was for this big ticket show that they put on for a while there. And it was a pretty high profile show, and I was completely unprepared because it was all Angerville material. But it was a lesson to me because I was like, well, geez, in a situation like that, I should be able to do my own songs, but at the same time, those are the songs that people wanted to hear. They wanted to hear the Angerville song. So I was just doing my verse and the hook and then go to the next track. People were like, well, they were disappointed again. So I was like, after a certain amount of time, I just had to start saying like, okay, it's not going to be Angerville anymore. And that's what happened with the East Coast tour. And I was just like, you know what? It's going to be Fortunato. And if, I think that was the time when I was really like, I need to abandon this Angerville dream, because we had already had a falling out, and then we got back together and we did another mixtape, and then we tried again. But, after the first time that the group broke up, it was like, I should have realized that it was pretty much dead in the water. So, but, I didn't want to give up on it because we'd been doing it for so long. We had a great friendship and I wanted that to continue. But unfortunately, when the music was done, that was pretty much the last time I spoke to him. And it's been about 7 years now, maybe more, since we've been in contact with each other. So we're basically strangers now, which is kind of weird because we were like living together. We're basically, he was like godfather to my children. So, but that's like they say, best friends become strangers, in this, that it's sometimes those lyrics ring true when it comes to life and hip hop. So, but yeah, I was ill prepared for it, but I said, you know what, guy, it's time to be gutsy and just like, let's go and see how it happens. But yeah, I felt like some of those shows in that first Maritime tour, I wish that I was more prepared for, but took it as a lesson and said, okay, next time around, I'm going to do better. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to focus on my own material, and I'm going to practice my ass off. And the next time was even better. Next time after that. And so like, just keep going. And now, I think I'm on my 7th solo album now, or like, I think there's like 3 mixtapes, 4 albums or something. And we're just so we've just been focusing on that and writing my, without a writing partner, without a person to draw inspiration from, just kind of like writing, in a bubble almost. Like I have inspiration from life and music that I listen to, but it's not like I have somebody that I can just bounce my ideas off of. Like when I was in Angerville, I just kind of like, I kind of like bounce them off myself. And then, but wifey helped with that too, because she could always be like, yo, that shit's whack, man. And so there's been a couple stinkers. There's been a couple stinkers that to this day I'm just like, oh man, shouldn't have released that song. But we let the people judge, like, if some people would be like, oh man, I love that track. And I was just like, oh God. They're like, do that track. I'm like, I can't, I'm like, that song is, we vaulted that one. I'm like, that's when that one just kind of like got put on the shelf permanently. So, but there's been some good ones too. So I'm proud of what I've been able to do as a solo MC and bouncing back from that situation and just keeping it positive and moving forward.
Mhm. You came down after that and did some tours in the Maritimes, and we basically adopted you. And then you moved down here. How was that transition?
It was amazing because that was the whole thing, was the East Coast hospitality that changed me. I came from Toronto where no one, the screw face capital, were just like, oh my God, nobody's ever going to accept me, no matter how hard I try, no matter how much I write or perform, how many shows I do. I'm just like, I got to a certain level or out there, I mean, in Toronto, and I was just like, okay, I got frustrated. I've performed at every venue that I could perform at, and vet promoters would give me a chance, and they'd be like, "Geez, I just don't know what it is." But I looked at other artists, and I'm like, you know what? So and so didn't really blow up until they got recognition in a place other than where they were from, and it's like that whole hometown thing, right? Like your hometown is always hardest on you because they know you. Like, dudes who went to high school with me or dudes who went to middle school with me, or like, they're just like, there's like, I know that guy, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. He's nothing special. We've seen it all before. So I went out to the East
Mhm.
Coast, and I was like, I got a really positive reaction. And then as well, like folks like yourself and Lazy J down in the Valley, and Uncle Fester in Halifax, folks put me
Yeah.
up. Like Jeff Gallant out in PI, they put me up. They let me
Yeah.
stay in their place. Whereas, like, if it was Toronto, I would have been sleeping in a bus shelter, right? So it's like folks actually like let me into their homes and trusted me, and like, and then get like say, oh, you hungry, whatever, make yourself at home. You can sleep over there. So it was the East Coast hospitality that really made me say, like, okay, I think I want to live there. And I told my girl, and I'm like, let's just go. Like, I'm like, what's keeping us here? Like, we've done everything. We've spent like the last 30 years of our lives here in Toronto, same place, doing the same thing. Let's go to the East Coast and try something different, see how it works out. And it was great. Like, it was a great 3 years. I would still be out there if it wasn't for the fact that all my family's in Toronto. My mother, she lives just up the street from me now. My father, he's just up the highway from me now, and they're getting older, so it's good that I'm here for them. And we're also like, my wife's adopted family, they live in northern Ontario, so I'm closer to them as well. Still a bit of a drive, but like, if need be, we can get up there and see how they're doing. And yeah, the people we miss the most on the East Coast is all the friends we made, like you guys and Scrimmage and Faith One and
Yeah.
Metaphysic, and like all
Mhm.
the folks that we made friends with while we were out there. And of course, my wife's brother, Oscar Baker the third. Shout outs to
Yeah.
OB3, and like all the people that like that we met, that we made friends with. That was the hardest part about leaving. But at the same time, you can't have your cake and eat it too. But that's why I come
No.
back to the Maritimes at least 3-4 times a year. Mike, you know this. Like, I I'm
Yeah.
I come back prolifically. So I'm coming back for this April, and I'm like, they brought me out for that DJ Kubert show in Halifax. And so once they said, like, yeah, we want you at this show, I'm like, well, I can't just come out and do one show in Halifax and then bounce. Like, I have to go. I
Even
have
if
to
it
see my
is
friends in
humor.
Moncton. I have to see my friends in Fredericton. I got to see my friends in PI. I got to see my friends in Cape Breton. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's put together a little short tour, and then next thing you know, I'm doing a tour out in Newfoundland afterwards. So I go,
Yeah.
yeah. So like that. Shout outs to Kylie Coyote. I met him at the
Sure.
Urban Music Conference in St. John, and we've been staying in touch ever since. So we did a song together, and he's like, oh, I'd love to bring you out to the island. I'm like, well, what's the what's the timing like? And he's like, oh, we're gonna do it late April. I'm like, well, I'm gonna be there in mid-April, and then I got this thing going on in Ontario in early April. So basically, I'm gonna be rapping from April 10th to the April 27th every day. So it's like 17 days of straight rapping. So pray for me
Yeah.
because it's gonna
Yeah.
be a grind. But I know I'm up for the challenge, and and like I'm right now I'm in the gym. I'm taking care of myself. I'm feeling good. So that's why I'm just building up my energy, and staying healthy and getting prepared so that when it starts on the 10th of April, I'm just going to be like, boom, let's go. Boom, let's go. Like night after night after night. I'm sure by the end of it, like I'm going to look like hell and I'm going to need like a month to just like recover. But that's how it is, right? It's like you gotta be able to survive the grind. And I prefer working in the studio more than performing, but people got to see you, and they got to be able to like you got to be able to shake people's hands and hang out with them and take pictures and talk and stuff like that. So I mean, I make a physical sacrifice when I do it. Like I'm not getting any younger, but
Yeah.
I love to do it. But it's I I'd be lying if I didn't say that it isn't grueling. So I love to do it, but
Definitely.
yeah, at the end of the day, I gotta go. I gotta go home, and I gotta figure. Oh, I miss my bed, and I'm like, I need lots of minestrone. I need
Yeah.
like lots of help me recover. And just like lots of home cooked meals and like some green tea and things like that, and just get me back to my normal self again.
Yeah.
No, that's for real, man. You've been on some pretty prolific tours. The Doom Squad one, how many dates was that?
I was 36 dates. That one almost killed me. If it wasn't for
Yeah.
Dab, yeah, Dab saved my life on that tour. And I don't even do dabs, right? But I had
Yeah.
to. Like, there was no choice. If depression would have got me for sure, being away for so long. But
Yeah.
every time we'd be like, we wake up in the morning and we're on our way, we're back in the van and we're driving, and the boys would see me and I'd be kind of like looking like, oh geez, I just want to, after about 15 dates, I'm like, I just want to go home, right? Obviously there's going to be something inside of you telling you like, oh, I miss my bed, I want to go home, like screw this tour. But
Yeah.
you know hit a fat dab, and then all of a sudden take a little nap, wake up, and you're just like, oh, it's not too bad. It kind of like energizes you. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I feel like definitely, I don't think I could dab full time. It'd be too much like coughing for my chest, although they say it's good for you. But that tour, dab saved my life, and that's the truth of it. That's the only way I survived those. And shout outs to Doom Squad. Kripal's doing big things right now out in Kelowna with DTG, aka Lil Windex, and
Yeah.
they've been out there doing some really big shows, and they've been jumping on the Tech Nine shows out there with Mercules and stuff. So Kripal's doing big things, and Stevie Nine Lives and my homeboy Trips out in Edmonton. They're making great music on their own as well, and I'm sure there's new Doom Squad music coming out. And shout out to BGK too. Really awesome dude. Man's all
Yep.
about his money. He's a real business entrepreneur, and he's doing great things. And shout out to Straight Gutta, who the East Coast didn't get to meet because he wasn't able to jump on the tour until we got to I think somewhere in the prairies. But yeah, he's an awesome guy too. Really funny, and yeah, the whole squad was great. It was an awesome tour. But like I don't think doing like most of my friends, they'd be like, we do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. It's too much to do like 36 straight. But you know what? I'm glad we did it. I got to challenge myself and prove that I could do it. But in retrospect, for the future, the one thing I took from it is probably next time I'd probably like cut it into like two different portions, like maybe do the
Yeah.
Maritime, Quebec, Ontario, then take a break and then head out west, right?
Absolutely. No, that would be grueling as hell. But you've also toured with absolute legends like the great and powerful Sean Price. Talk
Yeah.
about what that's like.
Well, Sean Price was extremely intelligent and really funny guy. So he'd keep you laughing. And it was a 7 date tour. It went by so fast. I really wish that we had like another 7 days. And I always said like I got the chance to do one song with him. I wish I would have done
Yeah.
seven. I wish I would have recorded seven. I wish we would have done an EP. Because if I would have kept sending him tracks, he would have kept sending me verses. And that's the kind of relationship we had. But yeah, like just a fantastic dude. And I always remember the story. His management at Duck Down, they were like of the money that we got from every show. So I'm sitting
Oh,
there with like all this
I
show
see.
money, and they're like, make sure you take it straight to the bank. Don't give it to Sean. And so I'm like, okay, great. Like you didn't put me. That puts me in a pretty dangerous position, right? So I'm like,
Mhm.
he's like, we leave the hotel. He's like, yo, where the hell are we going? Like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I just got to go to the bank. He's like, why are we going to the bank? I'm like, I got to go deposit the show money. He's like, oh, you have the show money. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, give me my fucking money. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, Duck Down said I'm supposed to put it in the bank. He's like, Fortunato, you're about to get yourself hurt. Give me my fucking bread. And I was just like, and gave him all his money. And he's like, and then of course he just went out and bought like fucking 13 pairs of sneakers and that was it, right? Like that's what they were trying to avoid, right? He's like, I'm on my
Yeah.
fucking shit. He had like fucking boots, Adidas boots, all kinds of shit. We were out in Vancouver and he was just fucking shoe shopping like crazy. But I mean, that was the type of guy he went. Like he's like he even says on one of the tracks on the album Mike Tyson, bought 20 pairs of Jordans one time on tour, and that's what he did. Like if he felt like it, that's what he would do. And so it was a great tour and he was a great guy and like just being able to be close to an artist like that, a guy who was just like jump on the stage and just destroy it on his own. No, just him and PF Cut. Like that's it. Him and the DJ. No hype man. No, like just a really powerful voice, a commanding presence, and like you don't get guys like that. I always remember when we were in London and we were about to perform and I'm like, do you want to wait till we get security to escort you to the stage? And he goes, no, fuck that. We are security. Let's go. And basically, Sean Price he could cut through any crowd. Like there was nobody. Like, the guy's fist was as big as my face, and he was just a massive dude. And yeah, so rest in peace, Sean Price. There's a couple little stories I get to share, from being on the road with him. And yeah, just part of the whole process that I feel like that prepared me for where I am now, is being able to spend time with some of the greats, and just learn a couple things from them, you know, because they're the
Um,
guys who started this. So
yeah. Talk about how wild it is to tour with Onyx.
touring with Onyx is insane. Like, I mean, it's not so much Fredro. Fredro's a cool cat. Sticky's crazy, but I mean, like back in the day, everybody was crazy. We were all crazy. We didn't care. So like, we're I mean, professionals all the way. If it's like we're not here on vacation. Let's get that money and keep it moving. And that was always the agenda. Where's the promoter? Okay, let's meet him right now. Is the money right? Good. Let's go to the hotel. Okay. We're gonna chill at the hotel. When is sound check? All right. Where are we gonna go eat after sound check? Great. When do we go back to the hotel? All right. Take a nap. Okay. When do we got to be at the venue? Cool. And so that was like it's business. It's like clockwork. It's business with those guys, nonstop. Like they just started a European tour. Uh, I think a few days ago they were in Italy, and now they're in Hungary. They're in Budapest, and then I mean they're going everywhere. They're going to Estonia. They're going everywhere all over Europe, and I think they got a couple Canadian dates too in Vancouver and Vernon or Kelowna or something like that. But yeah, like I mean they're very business minded guys. Like like that's the thing. That's what's kept them going when it comes down to hip hop. They're very serious. They're about their money. They put on a good show. We just did a show in Toronto, and the DJ he didn't he had their set on USB, and then he broke his USB, cracked it off in the computer, and
Yeah.
and so he was like, I can't play their songs. I don't know what I'm gonna do, right? So I'm sitting downstairs with Fredro, and I'm like, Fredro, like this DJ, he broke the USB. He has no way of accessing your beats. I'm like, let's get on the venue's Wi-Fi, and you can send me all your set through WeTransfer, right? So like he uploaded it on the because I'm like, he's got an American cell phone. He's not going to use his data in Canada. Like it would be ridiculously expensive for a set that's like almost a gigabyte. So I'm
Yeah.
like, he sends that to WeTransfer. I download it on my phone. I take my adapter cable, plug the USB into the DJ's laptop, yada yada yada, get the set going. You know, so it's a team effort. I mean, as far as crazy stories go, like I think one of the best was when we were in Lithuania. Me and Sticky went out, and we were with these two directors of this film. They got funding from the Lithuanian government to do it, and but they needed signatures and this and that. So we had to talk to Good Friday Entertainment to get the signatures. And then once we got the signatures, they were happy and they took us out to dinner. And then dinner turned into drinks. And then we were there. And then eventually they tapped out because they had to shoot the movie in the morning. So it was just me and Sticky out there. And then we hit up a few nightclubs. Freaking, you know, we were drinking double hennies and coke like for like till like I don't know midnight, and then Sticky says to me, he's like, I'm done spending money on liquor. I'm not saying I'm going home, but I'm done spending money on liquor. And I'm like, well, you know what? It would be my honor to pay for the rest of your drinks tonight. Mind you, we were in Lithuania and everything was super cheap, so I was like, bonus. Like it didn't cost me too much. But we stayed out later. We stayed till like I think 3 a.m. at this dance club, and it was awesome, And then like the secret police freaking approached us in the street, and they're like, his Sticky's like, "Don't talk to those guys. Don't talk to those guys." And I was like, I was feeling good. I was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Like typical Canadian. He's like, these guys are gonna like throw you in the back of the car. Like we need to get the fuck out of here. So it's been like there's been some cool tales like that. Like we've been freestyling on the balcony of a hotel in Ottawa called Les Suites, and we did a show in Ottawa. And we were there just rapping, freestyling. We had another dude named Young Cash with us, and he was in the cipher too. So we had a dope little cipher going and stuff. So there's been so many tales like that I could share with you. We've been on tour together, I think about 7 times, and once in Europe, and the rest were in Canada. But they've all been really really awesome times. And, shout outs to Fredro for always keeping me fed. Like that's one thing. Like homie would be like, yo, like have you eaten? Like you're a big guy, you need to eat. Come have something.
Yeah.
So Fredro's always like he's almost like Fredro's more like a father figure to me. And Sticky's like the guy I get into trouble with. So, but not as much, like I say, like as far as it goes, that's the reason they like to tour with me, because we never get into that much trouble. Some of these guys go on tour with Onyx and they never come back. So like, some salute to all of the guys who like thought they could hang and then, ended up locked up somewhere in Europe, So like, and there's a few guys who we're not going to mention any names, but there was a few guys that happened to. Thankfully, I wasn't one of them. I never missed a flight. I always made it back safe. And it's because, I always like self-preservation is number one for me. So we have a good time, but at the same time, we know we got another show the next day, and we got to be able to get, get things organized and get ready to do that so we don't let down the fans, But yeah, good times all around.
Absolutely, man. Did you hear about the situation that went down with Sticky Fingers and Kodak Black?
Well, I was like trying to figure out when that happened. Like they were like, "Oh, it happened by a tour bus," and I was like, "Okay, yeah." So because I knew that Sticky just headed out. He flew out to Italy, I think, on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. So I was like, well, when the hell did that happen? And I was like, I'm not sure, because like maybe it happened. I know they live out in LA, so it's possible that it happened out there on the West Coast. if it actually happened. But I'm knowing Sticky, I would like even if Sticky had drank 2 bottles of Henny to the head and was like, you could never just punch him out. Like he's he's way too fast. Like he's fast, he's strong, he's agile, and he does he's you won't catch him slipping. I've never seen him in a situation where somebody could just be like, "Hey, Sticky," boom, and he wouldn't see it coming, or he wouldn't just clock you back instantly. Which like that's it's happened before. So like that's like you're not gonna come at Blade and like just like, oh, sucker punch from a guy who's like, I don't know how tall Kodak is, but he's a little dude. I mean,
He's a little dude, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, like, who knows? He's from the hood, whatever. Maybe he knows how to fight, whatever. But I mean, like, the same thing is, if Sticky would never just eat that punch and not give it right back to him afterwards. So like, I find it hard to believe that if you suckered him and then afterward everybody came in and broke it up before he could get a punch back or something like that. Like, there's no way in this world that Sticky would just take that punch and be like, my bad, and just walk away. That's not the Sticky I know. So just
Yeah,
from my experience with him, I would say I think that Kodak, I think he's making things up. I don't know why he would even say that, but you know what? Who knows what kind of history they got going? But yeah,
right.
Kodak's been talking a lot of crazy shit lately. So I don't know what
Agree with
he's dealing with right now, but he's not making any friends out there. And his career's going good. He should just try and stay away from that, especially like the violent side of hip hop, because it doesn't really get you anywhere. Trying to be a tough guy in this business, you're gonna find tougher guys. You're gonna find people who aren't really into hip hop or be like, "Hey, I heard you said this and this," and you're like, "Oh, trying to be a gangster, like stick to the music. That's what you do best. So just stick to the music." And that would be my advice. Like, Sticky's not the one to be coming at like that. And I heard he was talking about Young Ma and like all this other stuff, and I'm just like, man, I like a couple of his tracks. I think Kodak's got some good stuff, but you know what? Like, people get like you see people get on Instagram Live, and they've had a few, and then they just start chirping, and it's like, that's not good. Like, it's not going to build your fan base or get you more respect. Just like, and they should have A&Rs. When you get to a certain level in music, they should have like somebody to wrangle you and be like your social media person, be like, like they did to Adele. They're like, no more drunk tweets. They cut her off. They're like, you don't have access to your own Twitter anymore, right? Like, because you're. And then Daniel Caesar, the same thing. Daniel Caesar getting on there saying black people are too sensitive. Now, like, oh my God, the backlash has been crazy. And he won a Grammy. Yeah, and it's only his first album. He won a Grammy, and it's like, yo, what's the worst thing you can do now? After you won a Grammy, after your first album, your R&B sensation, and then like let's get drunk and go on Instagram and just talk about controversial shit. Like, it's not gonna get you anywhere. But people were saying to me that like in the old days when the labels were more organized and they gave you like a team that would be in charge, they would monitor your social media and they'd say like, okay, that's not getting posted. They say like this guy's career is too fragile at this moment for him to be going out there and saying these types of things. And so I just feel like there should be somebody in the mix that's like stopping them from doing this. I mean, unless they feel like that, they just don't give a shit. But I think 9 times out of 10, they wake up the next day and they say, I posted that shit. And it's like, yeah, you did. And it's everywhere. You're fucked, bro. Like, and you got your PR people out there, like, they're like, oh my God, damage control. How can we do, like, oh, let's frame this. Like, how do we make this seem like, like less hurtful to the guy's career? But in the end, take it from me, I've had a couple of situations where I went live, and I was like, kind of hammered and whatnot. And, now I'm just kind of like, I'm more, I realize that the internet's not a toy, like this is, it's, when you post something on here, it's there forever. There's a digital, imprint of it. And whether you choose to delete it, you don't know who's recording it or where it's going to end up. So, if you're going to go on the internet, especially live unscripted, you need to be pretty. You need to think on your feet and be very, be conscious of what you're saying, and try to or just try not to do it. If you're not good at control, if you don't have a filter, then just stay off of the live, and just you know post once in a while, or just post music. That's what I do, right? Like if I post some
Yeah.
personal stuff, like about like my buddy or was going through something, or but for most part, I just try and keep it all about the music, because I feel like if I was a fan, I'd be like, I don't want to know about oh, you hurt yourself running or whatever, or spent too much on groceries or something like that. As a fan, that doesn't interest me. I want to know, when's your next single coming out? When's the next album coming out? When's the next show you're doing?
Right.
Stuff like that. So that's when it comes to the internet. That's why I try to just use it for that, pretty much exclusively. And then there's some shenanigans in the mix just to lighten the mood. But yeah, you gotta be careful on the internet, man. Like, especially when you never know if you blow up, some old shit you did on the internet come back to haunt you. And then people were saying they got naked pictures of Tupac now. I don't know. I'm like, how many years later? Like, they dug these. These must have been in a friggin' vault or safe somewhere, right? They're like, oh my god, full nudes. 20 years after the man passed. And it's or 30, I don't even know. And it's and now it's just that stuff you never know what's gonna come back and haunt you. So that's why I say Kodak. I know that was a very long answer to the Kodak question, but that's why it's something I've been giving a lot of thought to. Yeah, just I don't think Kodak's really telling the truth about that. And if he is, then if you suckered Sticky, then there should be footage of that, because World Star, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if the footage pops up. If it is, I bet you if it is, it's the weakest punch of all time. It's probably and it just barely touches his face, and then Sticky turns around all pissed off, gives him those crazy eyes, and then all of a sudden it's and then 100 people just mob in and just be like, yo, stop that, stop. That'd be that's how I picture it happening if it actually went down.
Yeah, the story to me, it kind of sounded a bit suspicious. Like he was embellishing what really happened, or, fabricating the whole thing. I wasn't really sure, but yeah, man. You've got your 7th release out right now. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, MDCXVII is the Roman numerals for 1617, which is the address of the street where I grew up on. So most people are like, "Oh man, that's a lot." I just say, just call it 1617 then, if you prefer our numbers to Roman numerals. And 1617 is basically, it's all about the artists that I met while I was on that Doom Squad tour we talked about. So Kripal's on it, Mugshot's on it. He's from out Abbotsford Way, originally from Alberta. Madchild's on it, and the production is completely done by Scopic, who I met through Onyx. He produced the Against All Authorities album for them, and he's from Brandon, Manitoba. And then the other 2 beats are produced by Kripal, and then the mixed and mastered by NATO out in Edmonton, and the artwork was done by Mad Dog Jones, who is actually part of a group called Coleman Hell, who's from Thunder Bay. So it's 100% Canadian content, and almost all just Western artists working on it. So that's why, the last one I did, I did the Blue Collar EP, and then I did Two Bad Dudes, which was almost exclusively East Coast, right? So with Sean One and Ghetto Socks at Tatichi, and then working with IV, it was all it was all really East Coast influenced, right? Oh, right. Just turn on the light. Yeah, I was in the dark, so I guess somebody was watching in the other room. So yeah, that's it. So the last 2 albums were really East Coast influence, all because I was living out there and I really wanted to showcase all the artists that I met out there. And then I did this like this tour that like had a lot of dates in the West. So I was like, you know what? I want to do something that's like all almost all West Coast folks, like so from the prairies all the way out to Vancouver, and but the thing it's not just West Coast, it's purely Canadian. So that's why I tell everybody when you support this album, it's like manufactured in Canada. So the vinyl plant that pressed the record and that made the CDs. My label Herbnet is based in Toronto and Sudbury. Um, everybody involved in it is Canadian, so it's 100% Canadian content. There's no American features, there's no American producers, nothing, there's nothing American at all in it. Not that I no hate to American folks, but like same time, like they got their thing down there, and I feel like I'm trying to do my best to build what we got up here, and to keep the money circulating within the Canadian hip hop, industry, as opposed to like sending my money down to the States, because with the exchange, you're getting less for your dollar. You're going to get rinsed. Every dollar is $1.34 down there. So I mean, it's $1.34 up here just to get $1 down there. So you want to go a long way. I love to work with more American artists, but that exchange rate is a bitch. So and also I'm proud of the talent that we have here in Canada, and I want to do my best to showcase as much of that as possible. So yeah, I felt like I did a lot of East Coast stuff. Last two albums were all East Coast, like strictly Maritimes talent, and so this one I wanted to really like focus on the West Coast. And I got a new song dropping, a new video dropping on Tuesday for a song I did. It's actually a bonus track. It's not on the album, but you get this song when you buy the album. So if you go to herbnet.com/Fortunato, you'll find you'll see my album, and there's also a song there that you can buy, which is produced by Archaeologist, who's like one of the legendary producers. I wanted to work with him for a long time, and I always thought he hated me. But
From
one day,
Drugstore Cowboys.
what's that?
From the Drugstore Cowboys?
Yeah.
Oh man, the beast.
I used to work with K-Dot. First song Angerville ever did was with K-Dot, and that was a song called "Break the Law." And that's the first video on my YouTube channel. I think we posted in 2006. And but ever since then, he was Archaeologist was always exclusively like K-Dot's boy, or he'd work with Unknown Misery, or he'd work with Crush Dollar Bills, or any of those guys. But and we were always like, I always knew him, but I was like, we never really connected. And one day he just hit me up and he's like, man, enough respect. You never stopped working since we met. Here's 10 beats, pick one you like and go to town on it. So that's basically what I'm gonna be releasing. And it's a pretty cool little track. It's kind of it's an ode to an old Bob Dylan video. And I can't wait to show it to you guys. So we're gonna be premiering that on Tuesday. It's gonna be dope. And just to kind of get the hype going for the tour and whatnot, we're gonna be dropping that on Tuesday. And the single is gonna be the single's already on Spotify and Apple Music and all that. But it's just that's a different. It's not on the album, but you'll see. I'm keeping it kind of hush right now, but of course everybody who's on my social media, whether you go to Fortunato page or whatever, or on the Instagram, you're gonna see we're gonna post the trailer for it and everything, and have that drop off, and that's basically it.
Yeah, man. What is it like being signed to Herbnet? They're such a legendary Canadian label.
Well, you know what? I always wanted to be good enough to be considered for that label, and that's why a lot of people, they've hit me up since, and they're like, oh, I want to go on Herbnet, and I give them Daryl's email. I'm like, hit him up, see what he says. But if you look at the repertoire of artists that they've had on there, guys like Decisive, in his prime, and Danny O, and like everyone who's on that label has, and even more than I can even remember, but Mocha Only, and and even some
Classically
of the more
getting out there.
international artists. Yeah. So they have standard that they, and it was Fresh Kills was the guy who actually hit me up. We went to go check out a show of theirs that was at the old Snafu in Moncton, and I was like,
Yeah.
Kills is my boy. I recorded all my music at his studio, the Kill Zone in Toronto, and I was like, okay, he's coming to Moncton. Let's drive down the highway. We drove through a blizzard, went to go see him, and after the show was done, he's like, have you ever considered getting distribution for your albums? Instead of just putting them out yourself and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I mean, of course, but I mean, I never. He's like, here's the guy, talk to him. So we discussed it, and I played him the music from the Blue Collar EP, and he really liked it. And then we put that out on UrbNet. And then we put out Two Bad Dudes as a digital release and then we made cassettes for it. And now we're doing so MDCX or 1617 MDCX VII whatever. That's the third release I've done on UrbNet. And this is also the first release that I've pressed vinyl for. And UrbNet took care of that as well, and they did a great job. And also this is the first release on UrbNet where we serviced it to campuses in the United States. So before I had only put my album out to Canadian college charts, right? So so it shows up on this website called Earshot, and it's basically keeps track of all the Canadian college charts. But this album that I put out, it goes on a different chart, which is called the North American College Charts, the NACC, and they track it across the United States. So for the first time, my album's getting spins in like North Carolina or South Florida or any of these colleges in the state, and which has been really cool because I saw my song pop up on a blog. I think Catfish from Catfish, who has another show called The Cut podcast down in
Yes,
Halifax.
a Halifax legend.
Yeah, he just sent me a post and he's like, "Oh, your song was on this podcast that I really respect called Hip Hop Headquarters," and so I'm sure that's a direct result. Yeah, I'm sure that's a direct result of having it playing down in the colleges in the States, because how else would they have known about it? So I feel like it's given me a little bit more reach, and I'm hoping to get out there and do more. But yeah, UrbNet's amazing. Like they'll do whatever they can to help their artists. They whether it's me trying to apply for Factor to get my my artist rating get my artist rating up a couple notches. Like if I need materials for them, like when I submitted for the Junos and stuff, I needed sales reports, I needed shipping info, all this stuff that they required. UrbNet was there doing all that work for me. So it's and if it was up to me, then geez, it's just more time that I could spend working on tracks or rehearsing and getting ready for shows or planning tours and stuff like that. So it's free to spend more time on what I love to do, which is not paperwork and not keeping track of the numbers of everything. So they do a good job, and they've been really transparent and honest about everything. I feel like they've done a really good job at representing me and not not getting lost in the shuffle. Even 3 months after my release comes out, they'll still put out a new graphics and say hey, Fortunato, 2-time ECMA nominee, check out his album, dropped, blah blah. They still push it for you, and they're dope that way. I think they as far as boutique labels in Canada, which I don't know if there are any other ones, but if there are, I think especially geared towards hip hop, UrbNet is the number one choice, and their track record, it shows. So I'm glad, until something better comes along, and if I get signed internationally or something like that, that'd be great too. But as long as I'm here in Canada doing this thing, I feel like they're they're the best choice for me at this point in my career. So I'm really glad, really happy, and quite pleased with the work that they've been able to do for me.
No, they're legendary for sure. So you're setting to do another tour really soon. Give us the dates for that tour.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be my East is in the House tour, and we're starting on April 16th in or sorry, April 17th in Fredericton at the Capitol, and then we're
Okay.
doing April 19th at the Hub in Moncton. That'll be with you, and then we're gonna be April 20th at Sportsman's Club in PEI, Charlottetown, PEI. And then April 21st at La Boom in Sydney, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. And then April 22nd, I'm gonna be at Reflections with DJ Qbert in Halifax. Those are the dates for that you guys need. I think most of the maritime hip hoppers, those are the ones that need to talk about, to
Yeah.
get ready for it, because I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be in Nova Scotia, gonna be in New Brunswick, gonna be in PEI, gonna be in Cape Breton. That pretty much covers most of the bases. And then of course, like I said, we got Newfoundland after that. I don't know if anybody's tuning in Newfoundland, but if you are, then you can catch me at the Cotton Club, and that'll be on April 24th in St. John's, Newfoundland. And then there's 3 more dates after there, but I couldn't really tell you. Corner Brook, I think, Grand Falls. I'm probably like, you know what? I'm not looking that far ahead right now. I know they're coming, but I mean, right now I'm in preparation mode, and I'm getting geared up, getting ready. And so I know I have my schedule, and we're just focusing on what's in front of us. And I have the Seek Tomorrow tour. If anybody in Ontario is watching, that's April 10th at the Bell Pub in Belleville, Ontario, and then April 11th at Overtime Sports Club or Sports Bar in Kingston, Ontario, and then April 12th at the Cross on Elgin in Ottawa, Ontario. And then after that, I'm heading out east, and then we're gonna tear it up. It's gonna be awesome. And I got some really dope DJs that I get to work with as well. I want to shout out the DJs, because sometimes you have to work with a DJ and they're not really seasoned, and you're just like, oh my god, you guys say like, stop the track, okay, let's go again. I'm doing an acapella, whatever, right? So, but I got Frank the Creature out in Fredericton. He's gonna be spinning for that, and then I got my boy Metaphysics spinning in Moncton, and then I got Alley Cat spinning in PEI. Shout out to Alley Cat.
Yeah.
And then I got Breezy McNeil. A lot of people haven't heard of her, but she's on the come up. She's going to be spinning out in Sydney, Cape Breton. And then, of course, DJ IV for the DJ Qbert show in Halifax. So I got dope DJs for the whole East is in the House tour. So it's going to be crazy. And we're bringing the energy. I'm so dope that it's so dope. We got St. David to perform in Moncton. And I got my boy Kylie Coyote coming with me. He's from Newfoundland. He's pretty awesome too. He's tour support for the whole thing. So
really, I can't wait to meet him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. His beard is what my beard would have became if I didn't give up. But I if I stayed at, yeah, I see Froggy. I see that beard. See, that's East Coast. The East Coast will do that to you. When you move to Toronto, your beard automatically starts to shrink. It just dwindles, right? So,
Yeah.
but living out in Newfoundland, I guess that guy's like, I was getting there, right? It was getting good. But if you see Kylie Coyote, you'll see like that's like it's almost like what my beard could have became if I let it fully mature, So
yeah,
shout out to him. And we got Epidemic coming from Halifax as well. He's a dope MC from down there. Raps Charlie Brown. And also we got and we got Jeremy, formerly Jay Kenny, he's always a good time. Yeah. So we got some really fun rappers coming through. Like it's gonna be a good time. Shout out to Stax who's coming through too. And we got, and like I said, it's all going to charity. Whatever whatever you pay at the door. If you got a donation, you only pay $5. If you don't have a donation, then you're gonna pay $8. We're gonna take the extra $3 and make that a donation. So And in the end, everybody has a good time. And even if you don't have a cash donation, you could bring non-perishable goods or used clothing, anything like that. We're gonna find a way to give back to the communities while we're there. And that's the whole point of the tour is like, it's all about solidarity on the East Coast and the fact that don't forget your roots. Like, that I may not have been born on the East Coast, but I rep the East Coast everywhere I go. And I always come back to the East Coast. I never forget the people that I met on the East Coast. And it's like, here we go again. Fortunato's coming back, and I'm gonna keep coming back as long as I can still like get my ass on stage and do the damn thing, until it gets so sad that they got to bring a stool up for me or something.
Well, I feel that too, man.
Then I'll just sit up there and we'll do a podcast or something when I'm like 60. We'll do like a live podcast. Legendary episode 3000 Maritime Hip Hop.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
I love it. Tell the people where they can find all your music and social media.
All right. So if you search I Am Fortunato on Facebook, that's my page. I Am Fortunato on Instagram, that's my Instagram. On Twitter, I Am Fortunato. And go to herbnet.com/Fortunato or I Am Fortunato. They both lead to the same place. And those are basically three main outlets. Check the Instagram stories. They're pretty hilarious. There you can get some links to my Spotify. You go to Spotify, you might find more than one Fortunato, but just remember the face, and when you go searching, you'll know which one's me. If you see like some Italian guy, in a dress suit, that's not the right Fortunato. That guy's gonna be like doing like "Oh sole mio" or something like that. Then you know you're the wrong guy.
Yeah, I feel the vibes, man. Thank you very much for joining us, bro. It was a great interview with you. Frog, I don't know if you want to talk about the charity that Fortunato is going to be supporting a little bit.
Yeah, have you contacted Jen?
Yeah,
the girl that
we
you
got in contact, and so we just said hi and what's up, but we still got to get she was busy, so we didn't really have time to go over the details yet. But I told her we got a show going on, and I want to contribute, and she's like, okay, let's talk about it more later in the week. So we're in contact with each other, and we're gonna make it happen. And but if you want to talk about exactly like what the charity is about, just so people know.
Like it's called the Salvus Clinic, I think.
Yeah.
And they're the one that opened up the wet shelter, and it's closing at the end of the end of the month, and so we're trying to raise money to get it open and stuff. And she's doing stuff for the girls that are working on St. George Street, St. George Street.
Okay.
And stuff, and they got a building in there so they can go in and do their thing and get cleaned up or do whatever. I'm not really sure a lot about it. But, Jen's was one of my she's like a good friend from back in the day. And when I went inside, she reached out to her brother and told her that I was going in there because it was my first time inside, and she helped me out. So I want to kind of return the favor for her, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the world needs more compassion like that. People look down on people who have to, who do what they have to do to survive. But I mean, most people have been in those situations, and we all need help. So like I said, when you explained it to me, I was like, that sounds amazing, because we all been down there, and it's a little help goes a long way. Like you said, she helped you out when you needed it. So now if I can help her to help others, that's really important. So that's why I wanted to choose a charity where it was actually going to make a difference, because a lot of these charities, they're just corporations, right? And you look at how much their CEOs get paid and stuff, and it's like that money, after it trickles down, the people who really need it aren't going to get it. So I'd rather choose something more grassroots. And so when you explained it to me, I said, that sounds like an awesome idea. So me and Wendy, we're going to hammer out the details later this week, and I'm maybe I can get the logo up on the event page and stuff. But yeah, everybody that's in Moncton watching this show, make sure you're at the Hub April 19th. I saw my name on the billboard already. If you're walking down Main Street, you'll see my name, Fortunato, up in lights above the Hub there, and along with the homie Prada West. And yeah, man, I'm just coming through, doing my thing. It's gonna be a great time. You know, after the show, whatever. It's I'm gonna be sticking around for a little bit. I'm gonna be in Moncton for 2 days actually. So you know, you're gonna see me around town. You know, and just
We're gonna drink some beers.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's it? You might see me at Navs. You might see me Goodfellas. I don't know. You might see me where I don't even know what's popping these days. But you know, it's been a while.
Goodfellas blew up like in 2002.
Goodfellas blew up. Okay. No, man, Wise Guys is the spot.
Yeah, Wise Guys. Okay, yeah, Wise Guys, Goodfellas. That's just my brain. Like, oh yeah, Goodfellas, Wise Guys.
Oh, that's dope. Thank you very much again for joining us, bro. I know you got a busy schedule and your life, and you're preparing for tours. So thanks for fucking with us, and thanks for everyone that tuned in with us, man. We love the sport. We're gonna keep trying to do this consistently every week. So, anything you gotta say, Frogno?
No.
All right, man. That's episode number 4.
Episode 4. Shout outs Mike Dow Bars for keeping it real. Moncton hip hop all day. Yeah. Yo, it's your boy Fortunato. Maritime hip hop. Mike Dow Bars. Froggy Boots. Let's go.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Peace.